I would say 3 years ago, online courses were not really widely known to be scams. And in fact, they actually had some credibility. And also, when I graduated from college, I was in this go-getter mindset. I was thinking this is when my life actually begins and I want to be grinding, I want to be hustling, I want to get rich so that I can retire my parents, that I could have a good life for myself and I could live the American dream. Even though I was kind of catching on to the idea that that itself was a scam. Anyway, this was when making money online was a big fad. So I was looking into all of these online entrepreneurship business models, hoping that I would become an entrepreneur one day who makes passive income online and that I could travel the world because my passion at the time was traveling and it still is. It's still something I want to do. And so I explored a lot of different online business models, but there were two that I really gravitated towards. The first one was dropshipping. And I remember I was subscribed to this dropshipping guru on YouTube. It was this long-haired Indian guy who had all of the perfect flashy thumbnails and success stories. And so I bought hook, line, and sinker into his course, which was priced at about $6,000. Now, I did not pay all $6,000 all at once, and I negotiated a deal with him where I would pay $2,000 first and then the rest over a series of months. So after I paid $2,000, I was there for about 2 weeks, but then something happened in my life. My grandfather actually passed away, and so it was a really tough time for my family, and I thought that I needed the money for more immediate needs. So I reached out to the guy for a refund, and to his credit, he gave me a refund, preventing me from spending $6,000 on a useless course about selling cheap Chinese slop on the internet. Now, I was also very much into social media marketing at the time because I was helping my uncle with his online business. And so I was learning a lot of these same tactics, and I wanted to learn from somebody more professional and more established in the industry. And so I was watching so many of Iman Gadzhi's videos at the time about social media marketing, about marketing agencies, and I was thinking about creating my own to better manage my business. I almost bought into his course, but at the last second, there was one review that said, all of this is pretty much another get rich quick scheme, and that prevented me from spending $8,000 on that course. So thankfully, I never bought into any of Iman Gadzhi's courses, and later it turns out this guy was exposed as a major grifter, major fake guru, and now it's just common knowledge that he's pretty much a scammer and online flexer. So that was another major bullet that I dodged. Now, a few months later, in about April of 2023, I joined the first iteration of Hamza Ahmed's Adonis Academy. This was because I had been watching his content for a very long time and I wanted to network with other people who might be in the same business as me so that I could bounce ideas off of them. I paid about $500 for access to this community, but I was only really in it for about 2 weeks before he pulled the plug on the whole thing and refunded people's money. So I got about $250 back, so I only really spent $250 on it. I did meet a couple of cool people in the program, so I don't think it wasn't a total loss, and I'm still in contact with some of those people to this day. However, the most amount of money that I ever lost paying for an online course was from one of these digital nomad gurus, one of these travel influencers who made a lot of content about traveling, about being a digital nomad and living abroad, which was something that I was very much interested in at that point in my life. So I watched a lot of this guy's YouTube videos and then I went down his whole sales funnel where then I expressed interest in buying his $3,000 course about content creation, becoming a digital nomad, about getting a remote job so that you can live abroad. And there were a lot of red flags that I should have been aware of from the get-go. But I had been subscribed to this travel influencer for a really long time. He had been living in Thailand for a long time and became a digital nomad. And that was something that I wanted to do. I had visited Thailand and stayed there for a long time. So I felt like we had a lot in common. And I think that is what made me let my guard down. So when I expressed interest in his program, I was scheduled for a sales call. And looking back, the guy that I was on a call with used every single sleazy sales tactic on me imaginable. I'm not trying to blame him for my stupid decisions, but I want you to realize that these guys will use all sorts of tactics to emotionally manipulate you into buying the program because they get a cut of it, of course. And part of those sales tactics involved making me make the decision right then and there. So the guy was like, you got to pay this right now. The payment will be done right now. So you have to decide right now. So obviously that put me on the spot. And then so I just paid it because I wanted access to the program and I had somewhat high trust in this guy. And it was something that I actually wanted to do. And so I got access to the program. I was scheduled for a call with this travel influencer who will be calling me personally, which I thought was pretty cool because I've always looked up to this guy as someone that I wanted to live like. But when it was actually time for the call, the guy showed up late and it sounded like he just got out of bed. And even when I was talking to him, like, hey, man, I've watched your content for a long time. I really like your videos. I think it's really cool how you're living abroad in Thailand. I've been to Thailand and I had an amazing time there. It's a beautiful place. I love it. And I wasn't trying to suck up to him or anything. I was just making conversation. And the guy couldn't even pretend to be interested in anything I had to say. So that was another red flag that I should have been aware of. But with this package, I got access to two different courses and communities. The first was this influencer's content creation course, where it's just a bunch of generic bullshit, like have a good hook. And then supposedly you were going to gain access to private calls with him as well as in-person meetings in Bangkok. Now, I looked at the record log for the in-person meetings and for the Zoom calls. And the last in-person meeting that happened 2 months before I joined the program. And in the 3 or so months that I was in the program, I never saw one scheduled there. The same goes with the supposed weekly Zoom calls. They never actually happened. So I was never able to have any opportunity to actually talk to this guy at all beyond sending him a message on the platform. But I did mention that there was another part of this program, and that's because this guy was partnered with a remote work course that supposedly teaches people how to get remote work. So you can see how these two groups help each other's interests, because one of them is supposedly helping people find remote work and the other is selling the lifestyle of the digital nomad, and thus they complement each other very well. So I thought, you know what, I'll give the remote work course some thought. I will try to see what they have to say. I'll try to learn as much as I can. Maybe I can get a remote job and then I could live the digital nomad lifestyle and so on and so forth. So I watched through all the modules, and to be honest, a lot of it is just talking about optimizing your resume or optimizing your LinkedIn. But they encourage you to become a LinkedIn influencer, like just posting this corporate slop on LinkedIn every single day and commenting under other people's posts. Like, that's not something I wanted to do at all. To be honest, I did try, but in the end, to no avail. And you could say that was my fault. Maybe I didn't put enough effort, but that is the whole logic of these courses. They always maintain some degree of plausible deniability. So they can always say, oh, well, you just didn't put enough effort and that is why you didn't succeed at it. If it doesn't work for you, the blame always goes on the individual. These course sellers and these gurus always hide behind, oh, I'm just giving you the tools. I'm just giving you the knowledge. It's up to you to make it work for you. But that is really just a shield that they can hide behind. And moreover, anyone who does not succeed in the program is not likely to speak up out of shame. So anyway, even though I got access to do two different paid communities for $3,000, it was nowhere close to being worth it. And now I just kind of accept that I got scammed. I'm not going to say that all online courses are bad, because there are some that are pretty good, but they tend to be just teaching one thing specifically. And what I mean by that is that they are teaching one specific skill and they're not just selling you a dream. For example, I paid $49 for some photography and videography course, and it actually ended up being pretty good. There was about 6 hours of content that I went through, and it went pretty in depth. So I learned a lot from that course, and I ended up just treating it like a normal college class that I take online. But that that brings me to my other point. Honestly, you are much better off just going to a local community college and just paying for a semester there. You're going to be able to engage with the material a lot more and to a much more intimate degree because you can talk to the professor, you can bounce ideas off of them, you can talk to your classmates, and you guys can collaborate on things. And you actually get to interact with the real world instead of just being on your computer, which I actually think is a lot better for absorbing knowledge. So the next time you want to buy an online course, just remember that if they are trying to sell you a lifestyle or a dream, it is a scam and you should run away. I don't care if it's any of these digital nomad gurus, any of these masculinity influencers, any of these like self-help gurus or anyone like that. They're definitely trying to sell you a dream of entrepreneurship, of being an alpha male, being a digital nomad, all of this bullshit. Just treat these people as the modern day snake oil salesman. And if you want to learn a real skill, literally just do it at your local community college. I guarantee you it's never more than a few $100s and it's going to be a lot more of a fun experience. Anyway, that's going to do it for right now. If you like this video, leave a like. And if you like this sort of content, hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next one.